Okay, so today we are working on solving quadratic equations by factoring. We're going to start with the zero product property. So that property says that if AB is equal to 0, then A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0. This is one of those very straightforward properties. So when we are working on solving by factoring, we need to set our quadratic equation equal to 0. So looking at this first one, we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. I'm just going to start by factoring that. So I know that we have to multiply to 6, add to negative 5. So that tells me I'm going to factor this as x minus 2 times x minus 3. That's equal to 0. So where the product property, or zero product property, comes into play is this x minus 2 is our A. This x minus 3 is our B. So at least one or both of those have to be equal to 0. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set x minus 2 equal to 0, x minus 3 equal to 0. So one of these, so I'm going to put an or in between. So x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. So that just tells me my answer is x equals 2 or x equals 3. Could be one of those, could be both of those. Pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and look at B. We have 5x squared plus 30x plus 14 is equal to 2 minus 2x. So before I can do anything here, I have to get this equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 to both sides and add 2x to both sides. So I have 5x plus 32x plus 12 is equal to 0. I don't see any greatest common factor, so that tells me I'm going to need to guess and check. So I know the only things that multiply to 5 are 1 and 5. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So I know my signs have to be the same. So I'm looking to multiply and add to 32. So I'm just going to start guessing and checking. So 1 times 3 is 3, plus 5 times 4 is 20. That's too big, not 32. We're going to go, too small. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4, not 32. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 6 is 30. That is going to give me 32. That's not what I wanted. So that tells me that I'll have a 5x. That 5 has to be multiplied by my 6. So it goes in the opposite set of parentheses. So I have 5x plus 2 times x plus 6 is equal to 0. So I set up my two factors. So I have 5x plus 2 equals 0. X plus 6 equals 0. And again, it's or. So here we'll have x is equal to negative 2 over 5, or x is equal to negative 6. All right, let's take a look at number 3, or C, sorry. So I have 6x squared minus 4x is equal to 0. So I see that I can divide all of these by 2. So you can only divide when it is a constant. You cannot divide if your GCF is a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and divide all of this by 2 to both sides. So I'm going to have 3x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. Now I'm going to go ahead and factor this. So I see a greatest common factor of x times 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So when we're looking at this, x is our a, so just because there's parentheses around it does not mean it's not one of our factors. 3x minus 2 is our b. So I'm going to go ahead and say x is equal to 0, or 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0 just stays. Don't have to do anything there. 3x minus 2 will give us x is equal to 2 over 3. All right, last one of these. So again, I need this to be equal to 0, so I'm going to go ahead and start by subtracting 4. So I have 4x squared minus 13x plus 3 is equal to 0. We have a trinomial. It's not a perfect square trinomial. There's no greatest common factor, so we're just going to go ahead and guess and check. So to multiply to 4, it's either 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Multiply to 3, it's just 1 and 3. And I know I have to have the same signs. They're both going to be negative. So now I'm just going to guess and check. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 3 is 12. We add those together, we're going to get 13. So we're going to have 1 and 4 and 1 and 3. So I go ahead and set this up. I do 4x, x. 4 has to be multiplied by our 3, so it goes in the opposite set of parentheses, both subtraction, set it equal to 0. Now that I have my a and b, I'm just going to set each of those equal to 0, so I have 4x minus 1 equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. This here will give me x equals 1 over 4, or x equals 3. So let's go ahead and talk about what this means for graphs. So wherever the graph of a function, f of x, intersects the x-axis, our y is always equal to 0. Or we can also think of it as our f of x is equal to 0. Same exact thing, just a different way to think of it. So a value of x, for which f of x is equal to 0, is what we call a 0 of the function. So the zeros of the function are the input or x values of a function when the outputs or y values is 0. Outputs. So basically that tells me where our graph is intersecting our x-axis. So it's where it goes through our x-axis. We call those zeros of our function. So we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing. We're just going to answer it in a different way. So we want to find the zeros of the function by factoring. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. We're substituting in 0 for our f of x. So I'm going to say 0 equals 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. If we want, I prefer the 0 over here, so I'm just going to move it equals 0. So then I'm looking to factor. I don't have a greatest common factor. It's not a perfect square trinomial, so we're just going to go ahead and do our guess and check. So we're going to go ahead and have either 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. Factors of 21 are 1 and 21. 3 and 7. We're looking for different signs, so we're going to have to subtract to get to 8. So I'm just going to start guessing and checking. So 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtract those. That's going to be too big. 1 times 7 is 7. 4 times 3 is 12. That's also going to be too big, or too small. So that's not going to work. Let's try 1 and 4 with 1 and 21. I know 4 times 21 is going to be way too big. 1 times 21, 4 times 1, that's going to be too big, does not give us 8. So I know 1 and 4 is not going to work. So it has to be 2 and 2. So let's see which one it's going to be with. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 7 is 14. 6 minus 14 does give us 8, so we're going to be using 3 and 7. So I have 2x and 2x. 3 and 7, doesn't matter where they go since our 2's are the same. Now we have to figure out where our signs are. We need to get to negative 8. So that means our 14 has to be the negative. So negative 7 plus our 3. And again, this is equal to 0. Now we're just going to set each of these functions, or each of these factors equal to 0 to find our zeros. So I have 2x plus 3 equals 0. Or 2x minus 7 equals 0. So this gives us x equals negative 3 over 2, or x equals 7 over 2. So when we write our answer, I'm going to say the zeros are negative 3 over 2 and 7 over 2. So again, we're using the same exact information, same exact thing we did last time. We're just looking at it in a different way. All right, so let's look at B. We have f of x equals 4x squared minus 8x plus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do our factors, right? So we need to set this equal to 0 to start. So we have 4x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. I know I do not have a greatest common factor, and it's not a perfect square trinomial. So we have 1 and 4, 2 and 2, 1 and 3. So we have to multiply and add up to negative 8. We're going to have same signs. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Add those together, we're going to have 8. So I have 2x minus 1 minus 3. Again, it does not matter where those go since our lead coefficient is the same. So I'm going to go ahead and set these each equal to 0. So I have 2x minus 1 equals 0, or 2x minus 3 equals 0. This gives me x equals positive 1 over 2, or x equals 3 over 2. So that tells me our answer is the zeros are 1/2 and 3 over 2. So again, that is where we are intersecting the y-axis. If we were to graph that, the x-axis, that is where our graph would go through our x-axis. Zeros are all right, 2 more. So we have f of x equals x squared minus 4 times x minus 1. So this one's a little bit funky. So we're going to go ahead and start just by distributing our 4 and setting it equal to 0. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. We're going to go ahead and factor this. So it is a perfect square trinomial. So this just factors into x minus 2 squared equals 0. We do have 2 factors here, but they're going to give us the same answer. So we're just going to set one x minus 2 equal to 0. So x is equal to 2. So there's only one 0 here, so the 0 is 2. All right, let's go ahead and do one more example. So I have f of x equals 2x plus 3 squared minus 1. So we could go ahead and square this into a perfect square trinomial, but I also see that we have the difference of squares here. So if I set this up as 2x plus 3 squared minus 1 equals 0, our a is 2x plus 3. our b is 1. So we have a difference of squares. So I factor this into 2x plus 3 plus 1 times 2x plus 3 minus 1 is equal to 0. I'm going to simplify that a little bit. So I have 2x plus 4 times 2x plus 2 equals 0. Now I do see that I have greatest common factors within those two factors that we have now. I don't really care about them though, because we're just going to set these equal to 0 and solve. So I have 2x plus 4 equals 0, or 2x plus 2 equals 0. So here x equals -2, or x equals -1. So our final answer here is the zeros are -2 and -1.